Hey there, Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and my craft studio here in Eagle, Idaho. Today I am here with a video for Spellbinders featuring their new Essentials collection. I get to show you the squares. In this set there are dies, there are piercing dies, and there are Glimmer Hot Foil plates. So I'm going to show you how they all work together and make some fun shaker cards. Let's take a closer look at these essential squares. There are 4 cutting squares and 4 piercing squares. And there are 7 of the Glimmer Hot Foil squares. Now you can see this piercing is more of a dotted edge, intricate dotted design. The Glimmer Hot Foil square is very similar. I think the dots would be a tiny bit smaller, but it hot foils them rather than cuts them. And all of these pieces layer together so that you can mix and match the cutting, the piercing, and the Glimmer Hot Foil. The Glimmer Hot Foil plates are sold separate from the cutting ones. All right, I'm also going to be using this Smile die set. This cuts the shadow and the solid word. Here you can see what the shadow piece looks like. It has those little lines pressed into it, and you offset that behind the solid one. Now it's a very, very slightly bigger die, as you can see when I hold up the black and white one. So they're not great for layering on top of each other, but you can do it. I also tried Glimmer Hot Foiling this die and it worked really well. So you'll see me use that 2 different ways in today's project. But first, before we die cut, I'm going to make a rainbow background using some stamp pads that are from Fun Stamper's Journey, which is a product line sold at the Spellbinders shop. This is bubblegum ink that I am blending with a blending tool at the top of my whipped cream paper. Then I'm going to bring in banana cream, and I later decide this was not the perfect color for this card. So I'm going to come back and fix this. So if you're seeing it and thinking, not so much, I'm with you, but I'm going to fix it. So no worries. So this next color is one of my favorite colors, Sweet Pear. I really wanted it on this card, and so I kind of built all the other colors around this Sweet Pear because I just love it. It's such a fun color. It's so springy and bright. So you can see there it doesn't really work good with the banana cream. All right, so next is Cool Pool, which is definitely my favorite color that Fun Stamper's Journey carries. Love it. Like, this is so me. Gorgeous. All right, so then the last color is Pretty Amethyst. And I'm going to blend that up from the bottom. And then I'm going to go back and do a little bit more ink blending with some of the colors and fix that yellow. That is not making me happy. So I brought in Lemon Drop instead, a much brighter yellow, and that is going to do the trick. Yeah, I like this so much better. And then I realized I needed to do a little bit more of the pink at the top now that I added the Lemon Drop, just to help those 2 colors blend in together a little bit better. And then I will go back with the Cool Pool so I can have a little better blend between that and the purple, because right now it kind of looks like there's a white space there. So yeah, I did those 2 and was really happy with the background. Gorgeous. Now I'm going to stamp on this with one of my favorite background stamps called Flower Tango. Isn't it fun? I am going to be using VersaFine Onyx Black ink because I wanted to emboss the image, but my mistake just happened. I did not let that paper dry long enough before I embossed it. So even though I used my anti-static powder tool, the powder is going to stick to this entire panel. And so I just went with it. It looked good in the end, and there was no reason why I needed it to not be embossed. But the reason why is the inks from Fun Stamper's Journey are a hybrid between pigment and dye-based ink. So they're quite vibrant, but they also need a little bit more time to dry than your traditional dye-based inks, and I just didn't give it enough time. I also could have heat set it before doing the stamping, but either way, I love how this background turned out, and having the embossing powder over the entire panel just helped to intensify the colors, so I was happy with it. So now I am die cutting 2 of those squares. So this is the 4-inch and the 3-inch. and then my paper was a little warped, so I had to like get a little intense with the tape to hold it down. But now you see I have these 3 pieces. 2 of them I am going to be using to create my shaker card, because when I have nesting frames, it just made me think of shaker cards, because I love making shaker cards so much. And I think nesting frame dies, any shape, makes for really easy shaker cards. I'm now taking one of the piercing dies and I pierced that into the window sheet. So when I put my frame around the window sheet, you can see I have those fun tiny little dot details. Now I'm taking that second piece from my die cut and putting that onto my card base, which is a 4x4 card. It would have been much easier had I done this before I attached the window sheet to the frame, but it worked out fine in the end. But normally use that piece as a guide, which I will do in the second card. You'll see me use that frame as a guide. All right, so I've put foam tape around the entire square, and I'm using my anti-static powder tool so that my little shaker bits do not stick to that foam on the edge. These are silver shavings, also found at the Spellbinder shop. Look at this adorable jar. I love it. I bought them just for the jar because it's so cool. And now I will remove the backing from the foam tape and carefully, slowly adhere the frame. It's not stressful at all. Phew. Okay, now we have a shaker card, and we're going to take our sentiment, the smile dies, and create a focal sentiment for this. I'm also going to stamp a second sentiment to go with it. So I'm doing the shadow with some silver cardstock, and you can see the little lines. It's so cute, such fun detail for having a shadow. It just really adds to that. Like I always say, love is in the details, and that die just adds to that element of love in a card. Okay, so here we are going to offset these just a little bit, and that's how I will glue them together, and then I'll glue the entire piece onto that window sheet. And in order for it to really set up, I'm going to take a acrylic block and set it there and let it dry. And while it's doing that, I'm going to create a background for card number 2. This is the exact same background as I created for card number 1, so you get to watch it now at really high speed, only I use the correct yellow this time, the proper yellow for this background. And back in with the purple, and I will do some additional blending back and forth just to get a nice smooth color transition. You can see some of my sponges might need to be replaced. Stamped the same background on the top. This time I am going to add some colored pencil shading around the stamped images. Now, a lot of this coloring with colored pencils does not show up very well in the video. It's kind of one of those things that you can see when you're holding the card in your hand, but it also is supposed to be very subtle, just shadows to make some of those images have some depth on that background. So I'm only going to show a brief part of this because it's just too hard to really see. So it's there, and it's a really fun way to, I don't know, I just enjoyed doing it. Like, it was a nice, relaxing thing to do, adding this shading in with colored pencils. I liked it, and I feel like it does give the images a little bit of pop. So there it is, all finished. And then we are going to use the second to the largest frame only to cut the opening for this shaker card. And I offset it, like at the last second I thought, let's be crazy and make it offset. And now I want to cut the same opening into this black piece that will become my frame. It's a 3/4 by 3/4 inch piece, but I want to Glimmer Hot Foil the edge first and then cut. So while my Glimmer Hot Foil machine is heating up, I die cut the smile dies. I want to use the silver one, the shadow piece for the top. And when I die cut these, I realized the solid piece is, you know, a hair smaller than this shadow piece. And so it fits behind this really well. And if I die cut 3 of those and glue them on the back, it helps make that thicker element. And so that's what I did. And now I'm going to Glimmer Hot Foil. You see I have a piece of copy paper underneath there that is 3 3/4 by 3 3/4, the same size as my cardstock. And now I'm laying my plate down with the glimmer side up and the foil I'm laying pretty side down. And now I can line up my cardstock with the edge of that printer paper, press the timer, put my plates on, and then when the timer goes off, I just run that platform through my die cutting machine. And now I have silver Glimmer Hot Foil dots all the way around my square, and then I can die cut the frame. Now when you die cut and you have something Glimmer Hot Foil, make sure your tape doesn't go over it because it can remove some of the foil. Now I had a tiny bit of overfoiling and I'm just using a sand eraser to remove that. Now I'm going to adhere my frame around my opening for my shaker card, and the two openings line up exactly. I love that. And then I'm going to use this piece as a guide to put my background back in. So much easier than how I did it last time. So I will put glue on this and then just inlay it so it's going to be exactly where I need it to be when I put my shaker card together. Just like that. All right, so I added some double stick tape to the back of the card, and then I can adhere my window sheet panel to that. We'll put foam adhesive tape all the way around, taking care to make sure the entire space is enclosed so none of my shaker elements can escape. Making sure always to use an anti-static powder tool, otherwise your shaker elements are going to stick to the edge of your foam and it's not cute at all. I don't like it. So I always remember that anti-static powder tool. Now I didn't put as many shaker elements in this card. I thought it'd be kind of fun to have them somewhat hidden until you move the shaker around. And you can see it was so much easier to line that up this time. All right, here is my thick element because I did glue 3 of those smile pieces to the back. And I don't know if you've ever had this problem when you layer up elements like that. Sometimes it's not even and you can see the background ones, but because that smile image is smaller, the solid one is smaller than the shadow, when you layer them up, it's a little bit less stressful getting them lined up. So there's my tip. All right, I am stamping and embossing the words "just because" on some black cardstock with white powder and using the 1-inch square die to cut that out. And this will be the additional sentiment for each of my cards. So I'll stick those on and then I'm going to come and add some fun embellishments. These embellishments are some of my favorite. They are the rainbow drops from Fun Stamper's Journey. You get so many in one box that it will last you forever. You do need to glue them down, and so you'll see me doing that. But what I like to do is just lay them out on my card where I think they're going to go, and then I'll come back in with my adhesive and glue them into place. So you can see there's one for each color of the rainbow. So whenever I make a rainbow card, inevitably these come out. And they have a bit of transparency to them. So even if the yellow is not the exact yellow on your card, it picks up some of the color in the background. And so you can easily mix and match these with different inks. It doesn't have to be a certain color of ink, and I love that. So I like to use the Tombow Aqua liquid glue for adhering my embellishments. It's a clear glue and it dries with a matte finish. It has a very strong hold. And so if any glue seeps out the edge, you are not going to see it. So love the glue for this purpose right here. That finishes up both of my shaker cards. I want to let you know that these essential dies are available not only in squares, but rectangles, circles, and ovals. I will link all of it for you below. I hope that you have enjoyed this video and maybe you'll go make a shaker card. All right, that's it for me today. I will be back again very soon with more fun things. So subscribe if you're new here, and I will see you again very soon. Happy stamping. Bye.